My mother claimed that flights cost $1 to $200 each. If you can't afford it, remain behind. I didn't fight. I simply nodded and smiled, as if it didn't hurt. It wasn't the sixth time in 2 years that my own family had told me I didn't belong unless I paid for the privilege. She said it casually over speakerphone while I was still in my scrubs and sweating from a 12-hour shift at the hospital. I had just finished working back-to-back night shifts to cover rent and pay off my college loans. They were all heading to Maui. My mother-father's sister Megan and her husband Derek. A week-long family vacation. Business class, of course. "You know we deserve this," she said. "It's been a difficult year for everyone. Everyone." As if I weren't a part of that group. As if I hadn't loaned Megan $2,500 last April, when Jason lost his sales job, or covered Dad's medical deductible, when his blood pressure skyrocketed and he refused to go to urgent care due to cost. I told her it was fine, and that I'd stay behind, then return to cleaning up vomit from a drunk patient who threatened to punch me for suggesting he lay down. But later that night, I received a ping on my phone. My credit card app sent me a notice to allocate $200 for each business class ticket. My card does not bear my name. I opened the application. Passenger names are Ethan B., Jason B., Sandra M., and Mom. William M. Dad. No, Alex M., not me. I stared at the screen for an entire minute. My fingertips went cold and my heart pounded. They had used my credit card again without asking or telling me, and expected I would cover it like I always did. I didn't even end up with a window seat. I tapped dispute everything. I then locked the account. An hour later, as I was brushing my teeth, my phone chimed again. Megan sent a text. "Why isn't anything paid for? We have arrived at the check-in area." I wiped the toothpaste off my mouth, looked at the message, and took a long breath. I typed back. "I stayed behind based on what you stated." So I did. I remained behind, but not in the way they expected. I organized my own getaway. Somewhere warmer and calmer. No family, no duties, and no guilt. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A call from Dad. I didn't respond. That afternoon, he arrived to my apartment. Knocked as if he owned the area. I did not open the door. It did not start with the tickets. That was just the cherry on top of a pile of broken boundaries and overdraft fines. It began when I was 22, when Megan borrowed my credit card to purchase a dress for her engagement celebration. A $600 temporary emergency, because you work in healthcare and don't dress up so you won't notice. She promised to repay me by the end of the month. She never did. Then Dad asked me to co-sign a loan so they could rebuild their kitchen. "It's not even for us," he explained. "It's for reselling purposes. One day, you will inherit it." Spoiler, they refinanced the house twice and used the proceeds to pay off Derek's second bankrupt business. I was working 50-plus hour weeks at the time, barely keeping my head above water, and I was still the family ATM, the dependable one, the nurse with a solid career, the single one with no children, the one who should pitch in since family members help one another. However, it was never mutual. When I caught pneumonia last winter after working through the flu season and requested Mom to bring me soup, she answered, "I can't, sweetheart. I promised Megan that I'd watch the kids while she got her nails done." Do you understand? I've always understood. Jason damaged my car, which I let him borrow while his was in the shop, and my insurance price doubled. He didn't even apologize. Simply shrugged and replied, "That's what insurance is for, right?" They drained me gently drip by drop until I couldn't feel anything anymore, like boiling a frog. I was a frog. Until a week before the Hawaii vacation, that was the true fuse. I was finishing off a night job when Megan texted, "Can you move your payday up? Mom wants to book motels, but we don't have enough money." "What's the payday?" I wrote back. "What does SHORT stand for?" She responded with a gif of hula dancers and the text, "Family trip with a desert island hibiscus and dancing woman emoji." I called Mom. Megan stated you needed help with motels, so I asked, attempting to be neutral. "Oh, sweetie, don't worry about that," she said. "Everything is already booked. We only needed a little cushion to move to business class. You're aware of Derek's poor knee condition. Wait, you're asking me to pay for an upgrade on a trip I'm not even on silence. Then the tone changed. Look, Rachel, if you wanted to come, you could have said anything but the flights cost $10, $200 each. If you can't afford it, you might as well sit this one out. No hard sentiments. She said it as if I were a burden, as if my very presence was an impediment to their lavish agenda. I didn't argue and just hung up. Quiet, calm, numb. Then came the notice. My card. Used for 4 business class tickets. That's when the numbness ended. All the sacrifices. I've canceled vacations, skipped dinners, and worked multiple shifts. For what? So they could have a good time, while I rationed my medications and ate instant ramen 3 times per week. That night I sat at my desk, staring at a spreadsheet with my finances. I had $327 in checking and $14,200 in student loans. My automobile was 6 years old and had 119,000 miles on it. I hadn't gone on a vacation since college. Meanwhile, Jason was sipping first-class champagne with my name on the bill, and Megan had the audacity to text me from the check-in line asking why nothing was paid for. The math flipped. That is who they were. They remained true to themselves. I wasn't family. I was a funder, I replied simply. What did you say I remained behind? Then I did something I never imagined I would do. I created a travel website and booked my own trip. Nowhere fancy, but it was mine. All mine, no responsibility. There is no guilt. The next day, Dad arrived at my home like a scene from a Netflix thriller. Still wearing his Hawaiian shirt, he stood outside my apartment with a look that alternated between confusion, rage, and entitlement. He knocked. I did not move. He knocked again, but louder this time. Rachel opened the door. We need to talk. I did not. He remained there for 7 minutes. I timed it. Then he departed. That evening, I received a voicemail from Mark. You severely harmed your father today. He traveled back early to speak with you after everything we've done for you. Done for me. I saved the telegram not for recollections, but for evidence. I was finished gaslighting myself. Megan made 5 calls the next day before sending this gem. Grow up. You cannot penalize the entire family for one misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. They used rods and mocked me. And now that I had said no, I was the bad person. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was finished. They assumed that stillness indicated capitulation. That if they banged hard and long enough, I would give in. Just as always. But I'd changed. Dad came back the next day. This time with Mom. The same spot. The same condominium hallway. Their faces show the same tired defense. I did not open the door. Megan began sending texts that night. You're being totally unfair. We needed the improvement. Derek's knees bulge when he flies economy. Do you understand what you have done? You could not even check in. You had to downgrade and pay out of cash. Do you realize how embarrassing it was? Family is supposed to be there for one another. Family. That word again. I typed, deleted, and retyped. Then I sent a single message. You mean when I paid your rent for 8 months and you failed to repay me? No response. Mom then called repeatedly. Everything is neglected. Dad then sent a text. You need to grow up and stop playing the victim. We had no choice. We had no idea the card would decline. You were supposed to help. You always do. I lingered at the last line for a long time. You were supposed to help. Like I was a family employee whose absence was considered job malfeasance. I didn't respond, but I wasn't finished because they assumed this was simply a phase, a tantrum, that I would get over it, as I usually did. This time, though, things were different. This time I was enraged, not simply emotionally harmed, logistically, financially, physically tired from years of supporting a system in which I was the silent donor. So I did something they never expected. I sat down to write an invoice. Megan's engagement outfit cost $600, never repaid. Megan and Jason received a $2,500 loan when he was unemployed. Dad's MRI deductible is $800 paid out of cash. The goods cost $420. Mom neglected to return the Venmo payment. $200 for 4 business class tickets to Hawaii, charged without consent. $150 in interest and fees for late credit payments, resulting from the aforementioned reasons. The entire outstanding balance is $770. Then I sent an email to the family group chat. Reimbursement request for unlawful expenditures and past assistance. Please notice the accompanying breakdown of financial help I have provided over the last 24 months in accordance with your philosophy that families should be there for one another. Beginning July 1st, I will no longer be subsidizing family expenses. Full refund is expected within 30 business days. Following that, I will file formal reports with my credit provider, alleging improper use of my financial information. Moving forward, no additional financial interaction is permitted. The group conversation exploded. Megan, are you serious? Who would send an invoice to their own family? Mom, this is hurtful and unnecessary, Rachel. You're making matters worse. Father, we raised you better than this. That line? That was the last spark. Because the truth is, they did not raise me. I raised myself. Between extra shifts, unpaid debts, and serving as the default safety net for others' recklessness, I responded with the facts. You did not raise me. I was overwhelmed by our relationship's imbalance, and I let you know. But not anymore. Then I blocked Megan. I left Dad and Mom unlocked out of pure curiosity about how far the delusion could go. It turns out quite profound. The next night they returned in person. I noticed them via the peephole. Dad seemed rigid. Mom held some papers, most likely receipts and excuses. I opened the door. You need to talk to us. Mom continued, her voice shaking. No, I really don't, I said quietly. Dad stepped forward. This stunt freezing the credit and invoice is cruel, Rachel. We're your family, and you used my name and credit card to purchase travel, I snapped. That is not family. That constituted a major breach of trust. We didn't expect it to be a problem, Mom cried. You are always helpful. I cut in because you trained me to do so. Since I was 22, you've treated me like a walking debit card. I assisted because I was taught that saying no meant I was a terrible daughter, but I've had enough of being the good daughter. Don't speak to your mother like that, Dad hissed. No, don't talk to me like I owe you anything, I snapped back. I work double shifts while Megan and Jason spend my money on mimosas at LAX. I helped pay your hospital bills while you were calling me selfish behind my back. He stepped forward. Do you believe this makes you stronger? Are you turning your back on your family? No, I replied, but it sets me free. I closed the door in their faces, not slammed, but strong and deliberate with finality. They did not knock again. Later that night, I received a voicemail from Mom in a somber, disappointed tone. I'm not sure who you are anymore. And for the first time in my life, I grinned when I heard those words, since I wasn't the person they used to walk all over. After I shut the door in my father's face, the silence that followed was not serene. It was surgical, exact, and definitive. No more banging on the door, no more guilt-laced voicemails, just a vacuum where their control used to reside. For 2 days, there was no news from any of them. I almost expected the cold shoulder to endure indefinitely. Then followed the panic. It began with an email from my bank. Someone had attempted to rent a car in Maui with my old frozen credit card. Derek, of course. I called the fraud department. They confirmed that the attempted charge matched his identification information. Do you want to press charges? They inquired. I didn't, not yet, but I did had them document everything and email the report to me. A subject line typed in as proof in case things escalate. Later that night, I got an SMS from an unknown number. We are stranded. Are you serious about leaving your family like way after everything we've done for you, Megan? I looked at it for a long time. What had they done for me, except then taking I didn't respond, just screenshotted it and saved it in the new folder I'd created? I refused to repeat family patterns. A couple days have passed, then something genuinely odd occurred. Sophie sent me a note on Facebook. Yes, that's Sophie, Derek's ex-wife. We hadn't spoken for years. According to what I've heard, she relocated across the nation following their divorce to start again. She was always smarter than him, a lawyer with bite ambition and an aversion to foolishness. Her message was simple. Hello, Rachel. I apologize for interrupting you like this, but you may want to talk. I responded. Is this about Derek? She sent a thumbs up followed by a PDF. I hesitated for a second before opening it. Inside, there are screenshots, bank transfers, and a paper trail. Jason apparently had been rerouting monies from a shared family account that his mother and father had given him access to for emergencies. He gambled again. This time we're using cryptocurrency. High risk, lower IQ. It became worse. The screenshots included emails. Mom begged Sophie not to report anything. Another from Dad. We will fix this. Rachel does not need to know. They knew. They all knew. They kept it from me because they were afraid I would cut them off before I actually did. The aircraft tickets just scratched the surface. They had been draining me dry to cover up Derek's financial disaster. I called Sophie immediately. She picked up on the second ring. I wasn't sure you'd want to talk, she added, but I couldn't continue to watch from the sidelines. I remember how they used to treat you. I wondered why she was sending this now. She stopped, then replied, because you're finally doing what I should have done years ago by walking away, and I thought you deserved to know the truth. That night, I printed every sheet transfer and shady message. I stapled them together and brought them to my desk. And for the first time in years, I slept with the window open, a breeze in my room, and no fear buzzing in my chest. The next morning, I received a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Dad. His tone was low, not furious, but strained. Rachel, I'm not sure what to say. Your mother is unwell from stress. Megan is not eating. Jason is not doing well. We made mistakes, yes, but you have made your point. I am asking man to lady, may we please talk? I typed a single sentence and texted it back. You are not entitled to grace that you have never earned. That week, I emailed the invoice again, this time attaching Sophie's files as an addendum. Supplementary evidence. I copied Aunt Carol. Just for fun, I sent a censored version to Dad's employer's HR department anonymously. A few days later, I received an alert. Dad was no longer listed on the company website. I did not celebrate. I wasn't angry, just distant. Meanwhile, my life bloomed. I signed up for in-person treatment sessions. I went for long walks, got a bike, tried new recipes every weekend, and began dating David, a man I met at the hospital cafeteria, who was soft-spoken, curious, and had no idea who my family was. And I told him about them, about myself, and the version of myself that I was eventually creating without them. David and I sat on my couch one day discussing a local hiking trail. He pointed to one and smiled. Do you want to go next weekend? And for the first time in years, I didn't need to check my bank account. I simply said yes. Weeks later, I received one final letter, handwritten with no return address. I recognized the penmanship. Megan, 5 pages of manipulation disguised as an apology. We all make mistakes. You took things too far. Mom cries every day. You have turned your back on blood. Finally, she wrote, we're family. Nothing alters that. And I understood she was correct. We are family. That's what makes it even worse. Strangers didn't steal from me. The individuals who knew me best did it anyway. I folded the letter, placed it on top of Sophie's file, and locked both of them in a drawer. The night before my birthday, I received a modest card in the mail with no return address, and only 3 words scribbled inside. And I see you. It was from Sophie. And I grinned because someone finally did. It has been 6 months since I shut the door on my past. 6 months ago, I stopped apologizing for saying no. It's been 6 months since I glanced in the mirror and saw a woman rather than a walking wallet. I used to believe that closure meant they would come to me, heads bowed, tears in their eyes, offering apologies and redemption. But closure was not their responsibility. That was mine. 3 weeks ago, I ran into my mother. It was a total accident. I was getting my morning espresso at a quiet downtown cafe, still half sleeping, earbuds in, and sweatshirt up. Then her voice, Rachel. I looked up, and there she was, smaller than I recalled, both in stature and in presence, as if time had shrunk her. She smiled as if nothing had occurred, as if we hadn't gone to battle over silence and invoices. Can we sit? We sat. She spoke first, rambling, no apologies. Just memory revision. We were simply trying to hold things together. We hadn't realized how much you were carrying. If we could go back, we might do things differently. No ownership, no mention of the fraud, no mention of Jason attempting to use my credit again, and no responsibility for Megan's venom. It was just an emotional dress rehearsal, and I was meant to play the forgiving daughter. But I was finished with that role. Then came the inevitable. Do you hate us now? I did not flinch. No, I replied, but I don't owe you anything anymore. She blinked. But we are family. That's not an argument, I responded. That is an excuse. She dug into her purse, handed me an envelope, stood up, and expressed her hope that I would return to them one day. I told her politely, as I had already done, that I was not coming back. After she departed, I opened the envelope. A check. $7,870. There was no note or apology, just quiet and a dollar sign. I didn't cash it immediately. I tacked it to the wall over my desk alongside a quote that transformed my life. You do not have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Megan never responded directly again, but Sophie did. After telling me about Derek's financial deception, she sent the identical packet of proof to a family law attorney at the state fraud office. Jason is currently under investigation for wire fraud and theft of family wealth. Because guess what? He did not simply use my card. He also took from Mom and Dad's retirement account. The same folks who once told me he was just going through a difficult time. Poetic. When I asked Sophie why she'd assisted, she said it was because you deserved backup, and I couldn't sleep knowing they'd keep bleeding you. She was no longer merely Derek's ex. She was a truth teller with receipts. Dad, he lost his job quietly. According to rumors, HR began looking into the matter after receiving an anonymous packet. He tried calling me once more. Voicemail. You have made your point, Rachel. You have embarrassed all of us. But family isn't a transaction. You're going to regret this. I did not respond. Because here's the truth. Family is a transaction, and it has always been one-sided. David and I were solid. He was present while I told him everything. The good, the bad, and the bank statements. He didn't flinch. He simply held my hand and murmured, I'm proud of you for not becoming bitter. He is the only person in my life who has never required me to earn his affection via sacrifice. We plan to move in together this fall. A new location, bigger, brighter. And no, I did not ask anyone for money. I cashed the check. Then she donated every dime to a scholarship foundation for young nurses who support their families financially while attending school. Because someone out there 5 years ago broke her back, while her family pretended everything was okay. Let her know that it is not. Let her know she isn't alone. So where does this leave me? Stronger, quieter, wiser, still a daughter, still a sister. But it's no longer their lifeblood. I'm not carrying their weight anymore. I have my own boundaries. I carry my tranquility. And I remember the day I finally declared, I'm not your safety net. I'm my own person. They didn't get me, but I love myself for it. So this is what I leave behind. The guilt, the fear, the misconception that being the good one entails bleeding out for others. And this is what I preserve. My life. It's not flawless, but it is mine. And this time, I'm not sharing it with anyone who doesn't treat me like I'm important. I used to be the person they relied on. I now stand tall on my own. What about the door I closed that day? It's still closed. The key is currently in my pocket, and it's sticking put.